first class was exciting, eye-opening, and refreshing.
My first class was informative and also fun and heartfelt.
The past 2 days were amazing.
The biggest walk away today was Q-tip-it. Quit taking it personal. Rumerize that.
To only think of thoughts. I choose to only think kind thoughts. I choose to only think right thoughts. Rumor time reflects when my mind is upset. I can change my mindset. Do not be thrown offset. Rumor time reset. Rumor time. I choose to only think of thoughts. I choose to only think kind thoughts. I choose to only think right thoughts. Rumor time reflects when my mind is upset. I can change my mindset. Do not be thrown offset. Rumor time reset. Rumor time.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome. It's so good to see you all tonight, this afternoon, whatever time it is, where you are. I am excited to be here again. My name is Dr. Yvonne Murray Laria, and I am one of the hosts of this amazing fourth season Access Rumor Time Conversations podcast show. And I'm just so excited to see all my co-hosts, and they're gonna introduce themselves.
Well, I'll take it from there, Dr. Laria.
Yes.
Greetings, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to this fourth season, our second episode of the season.
Yes.
And we look so forward to engaging with you today as we talk about this remarkable topic of mind care and mental wellness. I am Dr. Geneva Levy Fleming, and I bring you greetings from South Carolina. Welcome.
All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vanessa Kelly Brew, and I am bringing you greetings from Elkhart, Indiana, the city with a heart.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Calisha-Charles, and I am bringing you greetings from the Spice Isle of Grenada.
Awesome. Yeah. I think that took it. That clinched it for all of us. Okay. So this evening we're going to be spending some time talking about mental health. October 10th was World
Global Mental
Yeah.
Health Day.
World Mental Health Day, and the focus was on prioritizing mental health in the workplace. And so we're celebrating all month. Okay, we're celebrating mental health in the workplace all month, but then again, GCSCORED is about mental health, and so it's a daily celebration for us since 2013. So we're just keeping it moving and trying to make sure we can highlight the necessity of making mental health and mind care central and prioritized, right? So that's what we're doing. And so before we move into our program, you see we have a guest host, Calisha from the Spice Island. Yes, so we're just grateful that she's here. We're sorry that Laverne Shaw is not able to make it this afternoon. Our education segment, as we always do, we want to make sure that everybody is aware of what we talk about, what the terminology is that we use and what it means. So, Geneva, Dr. Fleming.
Yes, and we always start with a prayer, our rumor time prayer. We have it in front of you. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and for this Access Rumor Time Conversations podcast. We thank you for allowing us to be chosen to be here because we are special and we matter to you. We pray that you will help us to recognize, understand, manage, express, and reflect on thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions that are helpful, kind, wise, uplifting, and courageous. We pray that all who watch and listen now and in the future would experience renewed minds, transform lives, and they would be empowered to create safer and socially connected communities wherever they are. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And so, GC Scored's definition of mental health. Here at GC Scored, mental health is viewed through an integrated social, ecological, cognitive, behavioral, emotional, and spiritual lens. It's a long, big lens, long and thick. We believe that achieving this intra and interpersonal balance requires individuals to intentionally and consciously recognize the influence of their roots, such as early experiences, cultural background, and family dynamics, as well as their relationship building capacity and the impact of social determinants of mental health. These determinants include the conditions and resources available at home, at school, in the workplace, and within the community at large, which collectively affect a person's growth and development. We interpret many symptoms, behaviors, feelings, labels, and diagnoses as outgrowths or fruits or manifestations of deeper activities occurring at the root level, understanding that addressing root causes is key to fostering holistic wellness. Therefore, our mission is to renew minds, transform lives, and create safer and more socially connected communities. Our goals at GC Scored are twofold. First, we are here to increase access to the destigmatized and demystified prevention intervention strategy known as the RUMERTIME process, so that individuals in diverse settings, locally and globally, can become conscious problem solvers and empowered life coaches as they acquire healthy markers, which you'll learn more about in a minute or less. Our second goal is to engage, educate, equip, and empower individuals to effectively utilize relationship cultivation skills to renew their minds, transform their lives, and create safer and more socially connected communities.
So, let's talk about relationship capacity cultivation. Relationship capacity cultivating is the process of developing and strengthening the markers that Geneva just talked about. So, strengthening the markers that individuals in homes, schools, workplaces, communities, organizations, and institutions need to survive, thrive, flourish, adapt, and grow in a fast changing world. And so we recognize markers as mindsets, activities, relationships, knowledge, emotional literacy, resources, and strategies.
And as we talk about rumor time, you got to understand the rumor time process. So the rumor time process is a 5-step neuro cycle, culturally conscious, inclusive, responsive prevention intervention strategy that is used to engage, educate, equip, and empower individuals to move from inter and intrapersonal imbalance to inter and intrapersonal balance, and from subconscious living to conscious living.
Okay, so if we can leave this slide up because the definition is we've expanded on our mental health definition. And so as Dr. Geneva talked about earlier, how we see the lens through which we see mental health is if we can, okay, we're getting some feedback. Okay, so mental health is viewed through an integrated lens. If you can put that slide back up, Sean, the first definition of mental health. Yes, there we go. All right. So GCSCORED views mental health through an integrated is social. We look at the social, we look at it from an ecological perspective, cognitive, behavioral, emotional, and spiritual lens. Because we believe that in order to achieve intra and interpersonal balance requires individuals to intentionally and consciously recognize the influence of their roots. So when you're looking at somebody's mental health, and as we talked about, the World Health Organization focused this month on prioritizing mental health in the workplace, but we can't just look at mental health in the workspace. We have to look at it intentionally and consciously, looking at what influences workplace behavior, workplace mental health, right? So we look at the roots, and some of the roots are early experiences, cultural background, family dynamics, as well as the relationship building capacity and the impact of social determinants of mental health. And so social determinants of mental health, we will explain that here, include conditions and resources available at home, school, work, and within the community, which collectively affects a person's growth and development. And so because of that, we interpret many symptoms, behaviors, feelings, labels, and diagnoses as outgrowths or manifestations of deeper activities occurring at the root level. Understanding that addressing root causes is key to fostering holistic wellness. So this is the GCSCORED's definition of mental health. Let's go to the World Health Organization's definition of mental health, and we will see that there's a lot of overlap in these definitions. All right, so here we have the World Health definition of mental health, and they define mental health as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes their own abilities. The individuals can cope with normal stresses of life, it can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to their community. Mental health, listen to this, mental health is seen as more than just the absence of mental disorders, but rather as a state of overall well-being that influences how people think, feel, and act in their daily lives. That sounds just like the RUMERTIME process, right? We look at our thoughts, our interactions, our mindsets, and our emotions that occur in our daily lives. Let's also now look at the definition of mental health from the CDC's perspective, the Centers for Disease Control. Um, Calisha, could you, our guest host, could you see that? Could you read that for us, please?
The CDC defines mental health as an important part of overall health and well being. It refers to our emotional, psychological, and social well being and affects how we think, feel, and act. Mental health also helps determine how to handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. According to the CDC, mental health is important at every stage of life from childhood through adulthood.
Awesome. So again, we see some similarities between the GC scores mental health definition, the World Health Organization definition, and now the CDC's definition. There's one more definition here, and Vanessa, could you read it for us? It's the ACA, the American Counseling Association's definition of mental health. Let's see if there's some overlap in these definitions.
Sure. The ACA defines mental health as a dynamic state of internal equilibrium which enables individuals to use their abilities in harmony with universal values of society. Mental health encompasses the ability to cope with stress, maintain fulfilling relationships, adapt to change, and make responsible decisions. The ACA emphasizes that mental health is crucial to personal and relational development and underlines the importance of professional counseling in supporting mental wellness.
Wonderful, wonderful. So there's some similarities, there's some words that pop up in each of these definitions. What is one that you guys notice offhand? Stress. In all these definitions, the ACA, the World Health Organization, and the CDC, included in their definitions is the word stress, the ability to cope with stress. In GC Score's definition, we talk about the ability to get along with people, the ability to navigate the changes, the growth and development of individuals' life course. Anything else we notice in these definitions? This is our education segment. Anything else that is common?
So I was going to talk about relationships. We talk about intra and interpersonal relationships. So that would be one.
Okay. Okay, good, good. Miss Calisha, anything that you noticed?
Anything that, I mean, besides the stress, and I mean, the fact that with mental health support is big in the definition, be it psychological support of others is big in those definitions, and I think we do that. Connection is the connection piece is in all definitions. The ability to recognize mental health and be able to support it is in all the definitions.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So yeah, so we just wanted to make sure that as we continue this conversation on mental health, that we're all singing from the same, as they say, the same hymn sheet, right? So we've created a context and a background so that you know when we're talking about mental health, what we're talking about. If you can just put up for us, Sean, the Mindcare, the definition of Mindcare. Mindcare is a term that was created by GCSCORED, right? So it is, and how we define that is Mindcare is a holistic, accessible, and proactive approach to caring for one's mind rather than simply addressing issues when they arise. which is often, thank you. You can leave that up there for our guests to see, to view, um, which is often the focus of traditional mental health care, right? We focus a lot on addressing the issues when they arise. Um, by introducing the term mind care, we are trying to we're trying to start a shifting away from reactive, sometimes stigmatized view of mental health care as something people only seek when experiencing significant challenges. Instead, we're trying to emphasize that caring for the mind is an ongoing, everyday practice, as essential and routine as caring for one's body.
Well, as you connect the mind and the body, it goes back to, I believe it was a World Health Organization. I'm not sure if it was a director, but it was many years ago when they coined that without mental health, there's no physical health, and without physical health, there's no mental health. Like,
Yeah, it
I,
was.
I still sometimes, I wonder how people separate the two. I just can't see them being separated. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it just can't, because one affects the other no matter what.
absolutely, absolutely. And so yeah, and so it was the World Health Organization that said that. And so because society has kind of chopped up, compartmentalized, created silos for how we deal with our entire body. I think that's where this whole division or this compartmentalizing of, you know, mental health and physical health came from. But it is we are systems. Our body, a human being, is made up of multiple systems that are integrated. And if you notice, one of the words that we used in the GC score definition, we talked about the integrated approach, right? Where we use social, ecological, cognitive, because we are all of that, and all of those different systems, all of the cognitive, the um, ecological, the behavioral, the spiritual, all of that influences our mental health, and how we need to care for our mind, right? It's a holistic approach, and not just when issues arise, but as as a way of prevention, as a way of caring, as a way of mind care or mind hygiene or whatever you want to call it. But this is a component, mind care is a component of mental health.
Yeah, let me just chime in and say it is
Uh-huh.
past time that we pulled this focus out. And thanks for
Mhm.
mentioning that quote, Calisha, Dr. Friedley surname. That was one of my favorite quotes as well. There is no health without mental health. We're all inclusive. And
Mhm.
so I am glad we're having this conversation because, and so getting back to something you said about how the system in our society has compartmentalized things, Dr. Larry, you shared
Yeah.
where to go. It kind of comes from that medical model mindset, but it's time to rethink, bring it back, look at the holistic approach. The term holistic has been around for decades, but still wasn't integrated. It
Yes,
was not
yes.
integrated. In fact, many medical professionals don't have a positive appreciation, a good appreciation for the holistic model. So we really need to bring it to that place of integration and recognize the value and the need for the whole person. You know,
Yeah.
when we talk about person centered, we got to look at the whole person and recognize the different systems within the person.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for those contributions. So, as we end our education segment, we will lead in with advertisement for GC Scored. One of the ways that we help to solve this problem of um, mental health and mind care. Mind care is our one of our ways of solving the mental health crisis that we are facing in this world. And so we're gonna play our advertisement right now. It's about our coaching program, and we will talk some more about that and how you can get involved and enrolled.
Your life and relationships? Welcome to neuroscience-based life and relationship coaching with Dr. Yvonne Murray Larrier, board-certified coach. Using cutting-edge neuroscience and the proven RUMERTIME process, we'll unlock the power of your brain to improve your thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions, leading to healthier relationships and a life filled with purpose. Dr. Larrier helped me break through limiting beliefs and build stronger connections with those I love. My life has completely changed. In our coaching program, you'll discover how to recognize, understand, manage, express, and reflect on your thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions, gaining a deeper understanding of yourself and others. Our science-backed approach offers real solutions for anyone, anytime, anywhere. Are you ready for your breakthrough? Sign up today and start your journey toward a healthier, more fulfilling life. Mindcare for anyone, anytime, anywhere. Your transformation starts here.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so let's continue our conversation. As I said earlier, October 10th was World Mental Health Day, and GC Scored, the organization that is your premier organization that focuses on mental health and mind care throughout the year. And for the last 11 years, we've been doing this work across the globe. And so we want to take a look at some of the statistics to help to continue our discussion and help frame it in a way that we want you to engage in. And we're going to be having our little conversation about it. All right. So here's some of the facts from the World Health Organization. Um, this was dated September 2024. Key facts: one, decent work is good mental health. Decent work is good mental health. Two, poor working environments, including discrimination and inequality, excessive workloads, low job control, and job insecurity, pose a risk to mental health. Three, 15% of working age adults were estimated to have a mental disorder in 2019.
Well,
Globally, just a few more, just two more. Globally, an estimated 12 billion work are lost every year to depression and anxiety at a cost of 1 trillion US dollars per year in lost productivity. And the last one for right now is there are effective actions to prevent mental health risk at work, protect and promote mental health at work, and support workers with mental health conditions. So let's get into this discussion.
that's some alarming statistics. I mean, we are in it as helping professionals. We know it, but then when you sit back and you listen to
Mhm.
billion and trillion and 23%, and these numbers there, those are not healthy. We're not in a healthy space in the world if those are the numbers.
Yeah, those are the numbers. Those are the numbers. Those are some of the numbers, right? And if you notice, it said 2019, right? So,
Well,
um, Mm-hmm.
It says 2019, which is a little bit scary because if we go to look at the numbers for 2023, 2024 post COVID, I'm almost certain that those numbers in some areas have increased.
Yeah, and you said 23, 24. If you look at from 2020, right? So we were in a physical health pandemic in 2020 to 2023 or 22, however some people look at it in different ways. But we are, and we said this on the show. We have said this on this program. We are in a mental health pandemic that we don't even know when it's going to end. Right? I'm not trying to be an alarmist or anything of such nature, but we're looking at the data, and we're also looking at some lived experiences of people we may even interact with on a regular basis. We're in the state of Indiana, Vanessa and I, and there is a statistic that I found out. So Indiana has 92 counties, right? The state of Indiana, there are 92 counties. And of those 92 counties, 90 of those counties are considered mental health deserts. What does that mean? There's a shortage of mental health practitioners, individuals' ability to access mental health services is poor, right? Is low. The access to mental health services is low. Individuals, we know the treatment modalities, all of those things, and the two counties that were not considered, there are pockets within those two counties where it's also mental health deserts. So that's just one state.
Yeah. One state that have more resources than other states.
Yeah.
And that's the situation.
Yeah.
So, for those practitioners out there, it's like it's a drop in the bucket, right? Or not in a bucket. How about a drop in the ocean?
Right.
In terms of, the volume of work and the difference you're able to make. It's always positive when you're able to make a difference, even if with one. But it does speak to the gravity of the issue and why we're in these places, known as mental health desert, and all the more why people need to learn some alternative strategies, how to manage themselves. And before you can get to manage, you got to recognize.
Nice and understand. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely, that's a really good point, Geneva.
Yeah.
It's important. It behooves all of us, especially those of us who are in the profession, the mental health profession. One of the things I say to my students is that we have to find ways to break out of the luck that we have on how we believe counseling and therapy should be administered.
Yeah.
Because I would say we are being barriers. We are making ourselves barriers to people receiving the help we need. And so the mental health organizations need to take a look at how we can open up the spaces so that more people can receive help and remove some of those hoops and
stigma
and
obstacles.
The obstacles for people, for individuals accessing help, and understanding that there are multiple pathways to healing. Multiple pathways. It is not just the Western way of receiving mental health services that is acceptable.
Mhm. Mhm.
That notion, that ideology needs to be debunked.
Well, absolutely, because it's certainly not available in those places you just described as deserts, right? The people living, there are real live people living in those places identified as deserts. The
Mhm.
service are not available, it's not accessible to individuals living there. And those individuals need to have access to service. Does it mean that a therapist goes in there and show up once a week or month? That by itself is not sufficient. So there
No.
must be a better way, to
Yeah,
infiltrate
yeah, and
those
Yep.
spaces,
there has to be
homes,
more than one way.
schools.
But you know what? I want to go back to what you said, Dr. Laria,
Uh-huh.
in terms of the Western ideology,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's important because again, I live. Yes, I was trained in the Western world, but I live in the Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the approaches that were used,
Mm-hmm.
20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
those approaches weren't tried with Caribbean people and their
Exactly.
culture in mind. So are we honestly being culturally responsive when we say that we are being diverse and inclusive?
No, we're not.
No, we're
No,
not.
we're not.
Yeah.
And counseling you cannot tell me um, effective counseling is just one way from one ideological perspective. Effective counseling, this is how the West sees it. Effective counseling must take place in a room with a therapist and a client. That's the only pathway to healing. And so if you don't receive that definition of counseling, you're not, first of all, you're not going to get any help. And if you're a provider who does it differently because you're from a different space or you have a different understanding of people's needs, are you labeled as unethical or not being able to practice? You're not providing effective counseling.
You know, this is a little biased, I'm aware of it, but I believe in going back to the basic social work 101. You meet a client where they
Yeah.
are. That is just the beginning of good mental health therapeutic alliance with your
Mhm.
client. You just meet them wherever they are, that's where you are. They're not here and you're there. You're not meeting them for the first time. And from the minute they share a story with you, there's a
No,
diagnosis.
sis.
No, no.
Yeah, yeah.
They're allowed to be sad. They're allowed to feel depressed. They're allowed to have those experiences because
Yeah.
that is their reality. So let's listen to their story instead of taking 1 hour and judging that they have a mental disorder.
Right.
Mhm.
And slap this label over their head and start writing prescriptions as
Mhm.
if you can pill the feeling away.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah,
pill it away.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I think
Absolutely.
we need to start moving into really embracing mind care because I tell you, if we removed mind from care, people
Mhm.
will be acceptable. You put mind and care together, and all of a sudden the stigma starts. All of a sudden, it's it's mental health. And my thing is, mind care is just self care. That's what it
Mind,
is.
and that's what it is, and that's what we say, right? Mind care is self care.
Care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's not limited to professionals.
yeah,
Everyone is entitled to mind care.
yeah. Just like everybody takes a shower, hopefully, or you brush your teeth, right?
Hopefully.
Or you drink water. All of that is physical health care. Or
Absolutely.
you sleep,
Mm-hmm.
right? All of those things need to be seen in the same light
Absolutely.
as taking care of your mind. What are some things you can do to take care of your mind? Vanessa, go ahead. You were going to say something.
I was just thinking about when you talked about self care, that is one of the things that we talk to our students about, right? When we are training them to become therapists or counselors, or is self care. And they often have an idea of what self care is. And so you
Mm-hmm.
talked about being inside a box, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they often say, like, I don't have time, because
Mm-hmm.
many of them are, working students who have
Mm-hmm.
families and all of that. So I don't have time to care for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't understand that it doesn't have to be something specific, right? I don't have to, like, sit down and like for an hour, or or whatever, that it is being intentional about thinking
Mm-hmm.
about how I am feeling,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about what is going on in my life, like reflecting,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then um, just putting that focus directly on themselves. And what's sad to me is the fact that uh, a lot of our students that I am teaching don't even have 5 minutes
Mm-hmm.
for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They think they don't have 5 minutes.
They
Okay.
think they don't have 5 minutes for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that, and so when we talk about, like, mind care, and we talk about self-care, I
Mm-hmm.
think we really have to help people understand, like, what that means.
Yeah.
Kalisha, you talked a little bit about, like, meeting people where they are.
Mhm.
It's going to look different for everybody.
Yeah. Vanessa, the next time you meet with your students and you hear a comment like that, ask them to make themselves their own client.
We
And
definitely we
if
talk about
if
that.
that response, if their client
Mm-hmm.
says that to them, what would be their
Mhm.
response to
Right.
their client?
And I want to also say, I think there is this idea that when I say that a lot of the students are saying they don't have time, I think part of that is because, again, like, we live in a fast-paced world.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is expecting something,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and we often are giving
Mhm.
of ourselves to everything and everyone else, and we often don't have, or what's left we give to ourselves, or we
Right.
have for ourselves,
Yeah.
and then we say it's not enough.
So then
Got to change the perspective.
changing the
Right?
perspective,
Got to
changing
change
the
the
perspective.
perspective.
Yeah.
It's
So
not a
this.
place you go. You don't have to go somewhere.
Mhm.
For mind care. It
Yeah.
starts with right where you
You
are.
are.
Like Calisha said,
Yeah.
that's how we would start with a person,
Mm-hmm.
in our line of work.
Mm-hmm. So let
And
me
that's
read
how they have
another.
to look at it.
Yeah.
Because perhaps their perspective is, I don't have time to go to a gym. I don't have time to spend a whole hour with a therapist. I don't have time for the traditional society way of taking
Mm-hmm.
care of yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have time to take a vacation,
Mm-hmm.
but do you have
Yeah.
time to take a bath?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Do you have time to brush your teeth? And so and your mind is your mind, as my mom used to say, the mind is the measure of the man. Um, and another person says, wherever your mind goes, the person follows. Right? So the mind is the engine of your existence. If your mind is not right, then you're going to go in the wrong direction. Your mind is the engine, is the fuel of your body.
Well,
So,
well, if your mind is the fuel of your body, if it's an engine, this brings me back to us as professionals, right? If our engine is not working at full throttle, are we really giving, best practice? So again, it goes back to the theme this year of workplace mental health. Like the mental health in the workplace needs to be well, otherwise there is limited or lack or no production.
and that's why it says, right? Globally, an estimated 12 billion working days are lost every year to depression and anxiety at a cost of $1 trillion US dollars per year in lost productivity. At the center of that is the lack of mind care, right?
Well, it's hard. Again, let's talk some truth. If we're talking about the work, when we get to work as professionals, we're focused on the mission of our organization. We're
Correct.
focused on the expectations of the vision
Organization.
of the organization. So then sometimes when we're focused on that, we lose ourselves sometimes in that. Right. And then we also don't, and when we lose ourselves, we don't recognize our peers. We don't understand what they're going. We don't take the time to stop to see how their mental health is. Right. And then everybody acts like, okay, I have it together. But before we were therapists, we were human beings. We have lives. Right. We're struggling. Right. So it really does affect whatever is happening at home, affects how we production at work. And I know we've been trained for years to say keep work at work and keep home at home and keep school at school.
Exactly. Again, that goes along with the whole compartmentalizing our lives. And when you look at the ecological system theory, everything is interdependent, interconnected, is bi-directional. And so what we are saying in theory in the workplace for whatever purpose we want to accomplish is opposite to how we as humans were created to function, and how the world should be functioning, right? We cannot, it is not possible to keep work at work and home at home. It doesn't work that way.
No, we work it. Sorry,
Right?
I didn't say that.
I said we all know that it's not possible to do that.
Not always.
No. And so, but that's how we end up with, when we try to tell people, this is what you need to do. You need to keep work at work and home at home. But then people are conflicted when they go to work. They're feeling like, oh my God, I'm ignoring my kids. Or there's this that needs to happen at home that didn't get done. And then you're at work, you're at home, and you're thinking about, oh, I have this to do at work because the phone can. So what are we creating? We're creating people who are just divided. There's this cognitive, emotional, professional dissonance and disconnect. And we know that one of the, Dr. Gabo Mate talks about a lot about connections. When we lose connections, that is when we see a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, a lot of mental health disorders, and a lot of substance use disorders rearing their ugly heads because there has been some type of disconnect, whether it's cognitive, whether it's emotional, whether it's spiritual, whether it's relational, whether it's professional. When there is that disconnect, we think about it. Think about an electrical system. When you unplug something from a power source, what happens?
It's out. It's gone. Disconnected.
It's disconnected, and you lose power.
They
You
lost the power.
lose power. And what we're telling people to do is disconnect. When you go to work, disconnect from your center. When you come home, you must disconnect from another thing. When you go into this setting in the community, disconnect from. So we're encouraging people to disconnect, but not realizing when you disconnect, you literally are removing people from their source, their power source.
I tell you, I'm listening to you, Dr. Laria, and it's just reminding me how much, that teaching, that framework from our society has contributed to those statistics that we read about in mental health. It's really, really sad. So what we're doing in this conversation is recognizing, the disconnect and the fact that it can't be. Yes, we have got to recognize that and to change the way we've been doing things.
We've been socialized. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Calisha?
Yeah, now I was just saying that I really wish that more professionals would just be honest in their workspace. And being honest is to create a safer space for them. Find a colleague, find a peer that you feel could listen to you, that can support you, because some people come to work and they're so broken. They're so broken. It's so hard for them. Some people get diagnoses over the weekend. They lose a mother, they lose a father, their child is sick. There's all these things are happening, right? And they try to put it together and come to work and expect to work on all cylinders. And sometimes all they need is for a colleague to just hear them out, to support them. But instead of doing that, they feel embarrassed, they feel scared, they feel ashamed to feel that, I am not feeling mentally healthy. And I'm afraid to share that because I need to have it together. I need to be together. And it's almost like, no, we're human. We don't have to have it together. And when we don't have it together, be comfortable enough to go to your colleague and say, hey, I'm having a hard day.
So how do we create that? How do bosses and employers create that space? Because it's a culture, right? That's a culture and a climate. And being able to do that, what are the effective actions that we can use to help prevent mental health risk at work? How can we promote and protect mental health in the workspaces? And how can we support workers with mental health conditions? Here's something I'm thinking. First and foremost, I think we have to find a way to shift the conversation from mental health conditions or diagnoses. I think we need to really start redirecting it to Mindcare. Because I think when you talk about, people see mental health conditions as, a diagnosed issue. And your anxiety and your sadness or depression may not reach the level of a diagnosis. Many times it is a response, a natural response to your life situations. And then you're being told that you have to disconnect from home when you go to work,
Yeah.
right?
You
So,
know, I'm glad as you said that, I remember in 2020,
uh,
um, my auntie had a kidney transplant. In the middle, she had a kidney transplant the day that New York closed down from COVID, right? That was like a miracle. And
mm,
after they came out of that, the surgical room, they had to put her like in an incubator because of what was happening. But after she went through all of that, for basically staying away from everybody for at least a year and a half because they're trying to protect this new kidney, right? So she's by herself and then she's legally blind and all of this is happening.
Oh, wow.
You know, they stated that she needed to see the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist came to her and he met with her a couple times. The hospital religious leader also met with her. And the psychiatrist ended up stating, he's like, I mean, this is a woman's life situation. She have a right to be depressed. Like this is what she's going through. That's a natural response. He says,
once,
I'm not coming here to diagnose. There's nothing for me to diagnose
no,
except she needs full support. She needs her family. She needs to get back
yeah,
into a way of living. You know, so I remember him as like, there's nothing for me to say, but she's been through a lot.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I think in order for us, I totally, that's a perfect story, Calisha. I think in order for us to have effective actions at work in the workspace to prevent mental health risks, to protect and promote mental health and support the workers, we first and foremost have to shift how we see life challenges, people's stories. Because if we keep seeing people's stories as presenting problems, then we're going to want to find a solution for their problem. When the issue is listen to people's stories, see it as life, as the young people say, life be lifing, right? See it as that, and then I think how we show up to help, how we show up to provide support will shift, and then we will see more people being more open, being supervisors being more ready to provide. Let's give people a mind care day. Let's have a longer lunch break, or you take the break whenever you feel that you need to take a break. Not have everybody's lunch at a specific time, because that those times may work for me because I am a mid-afternoon. You understand what I'm saying? Let us be more creative, but I think the pathway to getting there has to start with first and foremost recognizing and understanding how we are viewing people's life stories.
Absolutely.
Once we start addressing our perspectives on that, we are going to be able to then move into a way to manage, right? So that's how could we have more take more actions to support workers to promote and protect mental health at work. Those are ways to manage. Before we can manage, we have to recognize and understand what we think. What are our thoughts about mental health in the workplace? How do we interact with it? What do we believe about it? What emotions come?
Yeah, but we have to, in order for us to figure out how we're thinking or what we're recognizing and understanding about others, we have to be able to be honest with ourselves about our mental health, because we can't go around judging, right, and coming up with all these sorts of ideas about what's happening out there, but we have to look at where what's going on with our health, what's going on with our mental health, how can I help myself so then I can help others. Like, don't, because sometimes some of us have mental health stuff and it's such a stigma. We're so afraid to share. We're afraid to share our mental health issues, right? So if we as professionals hiding from discussing our own mental health, how are we going to empower others?
Right, right. But you know, there's a statistic that says that practitioners, medical mental health practitioners, are one of that group of individuals are the one of the biggest proponents of perpetuating stigma.
Ooh, wow, that's interesting.
Yes.
Because to follow along with what you were saying about the workplace, Dr. Laria, and introducing it, promoting it in the workplace, it really, to start talking mind care and educating people about mind care and helping them to recognize and understand it before they can start putting practices in place. I mean, that's key to destigmatizing, all the ugly that's associated with mental health, Yeah. So we got, so the workplace is one thing. I agree with what you're saying as well, Calisha. But it starts with the individual, and it starts with someone that's ready to introduce that into the spaces where they are.
Yeah.
Vanessa?
Did you have something to say?
No. I just, just wanted to, I guess, read. We had a couple comments. Caroline was just saying that mental health should be an important aspect to be considered in places of work for effective productivity. And so that is part of like what we have been discussing, the importance of that. And when we don't have that, how our productivity does suffer from that.
Yeah, and productivity is important because that's what work is about, right? You work and certain things come out of it. You produce whatever it is you're producing. But I also think that I went to a talk last week, Brian Stevenson, and he made this comment that we are more interested as a society in finality than we are interested in fairness. And I would say I totally agree with that. But for our mental health discussion here, I would say we are more interested as a society in productivity than people.
Well, we are more interested in productivity than people.
Yes.
Well, I agree with that because I thought for the last 20 years they have taken human out of human services. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I go back.
Excuse me.
I go back to that. That is how we have been socialized, right? And so, and we've talked about that, right? The busyness. So when we get to work, we know that this is what we have to do, right? We have to like produce a certain amount, right, in order to keep our jobs. We are evaluated.
Of course, yeah.
And so it does become more about making sure that we are hitting those marks at work than about making sure we are okay, which a lot of times causes stress
Yeah.
on us.
So, and as educators, higher educators, we must be mindful about what we teach and how we teach. Now, I am not straight by the book kind of instructor, right? So
Mhm.
there's always an opportunity to integrate the RUMERTIME process
Mhm.
into what I'm teaching,
Mhm.
and allowing students the opportunity to recognize that they are first a person, and that
Mhm.
they are responsible, and they are empowered to take control of their day, their lives,
Mhm.
therefore their day, and that they need to make time for themselves. What does that look like? It's going to look different for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And so how do we, so we've done some recognizing and some understanding. And in the time we have left, is there any other recognizing and understanding, any other data that you guys want to share with our audience? Before I want to go to a commercial break again. And and when we come back, let's maybe share some more statistics and then move into how can we manage and how is GC scored a leader in helping individuals navigate, not just individuals but organizations, communities, businesses, navigate the movement toward managing. All right. So let's go to our commercial break again, and we will come back to talk about manage.
Your life and relationships? Welcome to neuroscience based life and relationship coaching with Dr. Yvonne Murray Laurier, board certified coach. Using cutting edge neuroscience and the proven RUMERTIME process, will unlock the power of your brain to improve your thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions, leading to healthier relationships and a life filled with purpose. Dr. Laurier helped me break through limiting beliefs and build stronger connections with those I love. My life has completely changed. In our coaching program, you'll discover how to recognize, understand, manage, express, and reflect on your thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions, gaining a deeper understanding of yourself and others. Our science-backed approach offers real solutions for anyone, anytime, anywhere. Are you ready for your breakthrough? Sign up today and start your journey toward a healthier, more fulfilling life. Mindcare for anyone, anytime, anywhere. Your transformation starts here.
All right. So as we go into this last segment of our programming, um, Vanessa, you want to wrap up the recognize and understand? Does anybody have any statistics that they want to share that they think our listening and viewing audience should know before we transition to managing?
Okay.
No?
No, because when I think about statistics, and I appreciate statistics, and we need to know what they are. The bottom line here for me is there are not enough practitioners in the world to deal
Mm,
with the world's issues concerning mental health.
right.
Just this conversation we're having today, the need to transition the thought processes into mind care,
Mm-hmm.
um, rather than mental health, because the stigma remains, regarding mental health care. It's a no-brainer. We
Mm-hmm.
people need to be educated on some alternative strategies,
Mm-hmm.
where they can help themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
this is not in no way trying to eliminate the professional, but I,
No, no,
I
no.
I do believe that there are some conditions that there are many conditions or situations that are not disorders and labels,
Yeah,
that require, intensive, and it's therapeutic, but it doesn't require a lot of the other stuff that goes along with the
right.
intensive mental health care,
Yeah.
medication, and that sort of thing. And I'm not
You know,
anti-med either. So, in terms of statistics, the statistics is bad. I mean, when I look at 16 point something million people had thoughts of suicide, and then, more than 6 million, in a given time frame actually completed the suicide. I mean, it's bad. It's all bad. So, yeah, I'm ready to move the conversation to what can we do to help get to
I
that
just want to
healthier
I just
state.
want to just add to what you're saying. In terms of statistics, one of the alarming statistics that I still can't wrap my head around is how many insurance companies, and I'm speaking about in the United States, that still do not today have access or give persons members access to mental health care. And some of those that do give access, they want a diagnosis in order for them to pay for the mental health care, right? Which I'm sure in some situation it puts psychiatrists, therapists, people in a position to want to label, because then this person doesn't get the care. So it's almost like we're speaking about mind care, we're speaking about healthy mental health behaviors. We're speaking about self-care, but you still have persons within the system that still is not supporting mental health wellness.
Because
That
they too are stuck
is
in that
to be correct.
capitalistic, society. That's Vanessa used the term socialized into. This thing is systemic. It's not a coincidence or anything like that. It is a systemic problem that should not be happening, but it is happening, and it really is all about the Benjamins. And it is sad that people would put money before they would put humans, But that's the way the system in this country operates.
Yeah. And so this one of the statistics that Calisha just talked about, it says that 10% of adults and 8.5% of youth still have private insurance that does not cover mental health. And another statistic is for every one mental health practitioner or provider, there are 340 people to one practitioner. This is in the US. Okay. And and that number is not a disaggregated number where we talk about marginalized groups, right? This is a general number. When you start digging into the data, when you start going down and disaggregating the data for gender, race, sexual orientation, geographic locations, and all those socio-demographics, it becomes even worse. It becomes even more stark. And so how can we recognizing and understanding the gravity of the situation, how can we help with the solution? What are some of the solutions?
There are a couple of technology companies. I won't mention names, but I'm sure they are all global. They have, in terms of Mindcare, they have spaces within the workplace. Some refer to it as Zen rooms, but they have a space where workers can go, employees can go to blow off steam. This is not a place where you're going to get your nails done or anything like that. But it's a quiet room. They may have some music piped in. I've seen one of them in one of the companies, and I'm like, oh, this is so satisfying. To just be here and listen to the water trickle over the rocks,
Right.
There are some places that do have that, and that, I promote that everywhere. Everywhere it's possible for Mindcare.
So Mindcare in the workplace, making when we talk about culturally conscious, inclusive, and responsive, that is very inclusive, right? It's a space where everybody in the workspace, we're believing that everyone in that workspace is able to access a
That
calm down
space.
room, a calming space, so that they could, as you say, they can feel some connections, right? They can feel connected to themselves, to their minds, um, to so that they can perform, you know, at a
Better.
high.
Yes, that's the idea, is
Yeah, yeah.
in the mindset of promoting productivity,
Mm-hmm.
looking at the person first. The person needs to be
First, yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, well enough for
Any
that.
right? Good, good. So, any other?
Um,
What as you're thinking? Do you have your thoughts, or you,
Go
Calisha?
ahead, go ahead, go ahead. You can come.
No,
I'll,
as you remember. Okay, as you're thinking about how else we could um, help individuals manage, I think as an organization that focuses on culturally conscious, inclusive, and responsive mental health and mind care, um, I would encourage individuals to go to our website and see what we are doing. And we will have the address across the screen here in a moment. And we will have that the contact information going across our screen for the rest of the evening, actually, so that individuals can see how we could work with them, how we can partner with them to help their organizations, help their churches, help their institutions participate in programming that speaks to mind care, right? And we talked about that. Not just the employees, but also the employers, because it is critical that this shifting, this mind shift, um, this paradigm shift, it is critical that it starts with decision makers in an organization. What we don't want to happen, and what is even more stressful, is if an organization has what appears to be support, but when you just tap it a little bit, you realize it's fake. We call that gaslighting, right? We call that visible acquiescence, right? You're just doing this as a window covering, a
Window dressing.
window dressing. So you're saying, oh yeah, we have these services for the employees. It's all in your brochures. It's all on your website. And then when the employees who need it and actually try to access it, they are given they are the barriers, the hoops that are there is frustrating, right? It's frustrating. And so what we're saying is, don't just say you have it, don't just pretend to have it. Really lean into true support, not to check a box, but
And
to
in the language of
save
GC
a life.
Scored, honestly and accurately, right?
Honestly and accurately, yes. We want we want you to be able to have genuine support for your employees, not in a cookie cutter way either, right? It needs to be culturally conscious, inclusive, and responsive. That is why you need to get in touch with us, because we are uniquely positioned. GCSCORED is uniquely positioned to help organizations, individuals, groups, institutions to
Rumorize. We help people to learn how to rumorize their life events. That's what we do.
yeah, that's what we do. And we do it from the root to the fruit. We don't just look at the fruit and then say, oh, here's what you can do with this fruit. Pick the fruit, throw it out, and then you're fine. So no, we have shifted the paradigm. We have shifted the narrative. So if you're genuinely interested in changing the culture, prioritizing mental health at your workplace, reach out to GCSCORED. Our contact information is on the screen. The website is there. Our phone number you can reach us at is 574-315-9981. And that number is going to come up on the screen in a few moments. 574-315-9981. We are here to support organizations as they transition to prioritizing mental health and mind care at their workspaces in a genuinely conscious way. Yeah. Anybody else? Calisha, do you remember what you were going to say?
Probably can't remember, but what I'm thinking about now is that we need to make, as individuals, we have to make radical changes
Yes.
if we want radical results.
There we go.
And our mental health is priority.
It is.
Because I tell you, without it, you are in shambles.
Yeah.
Right? So that's my feedback, or that's what I wanted to give to the audience, is that you know yourself, you know your situation, you know your story. And if you don't feel mentally healthy, if your mind care is not where you want it to be, you're going to have to make those radical changes. You have to learn to be able to recognize and understand what's going on, and you need to find ways to manage it. I mean, in Grenada, we have the beach, we have the springs, we have things that we can use to help build our mental health. Use our natural resources to help you. Tap into your resources, tap into your family members, to your friends, tap into somebody. Come on to Every Peace Matters website, look and see what resources we have that can help you. But you have to do something, because again, life is so short. And we see it all the time, but then we don't make the radical changes that we need. Get yourself involved in, go to, workshops, just find things that's in your community that's going to help you with your mind care. I know for me, there's this Replugged Woman. It's a conference. It's a one-day conference that's coming up here in Grenada. I'm excited to go out there and be able to meet with other women, to empower each other, because I know that that's going to also help my mind care. And I know that if my mind care is good, then I could go ahead and help somebody else. So radical changes surrounding mental self-care, mind care.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that whole thing about being, looking for, again, multiple pathways to healing, multiple pathways to mind care. We have to break out of this ideology that there is one way and one way only to feel balanced, to feel empowered. There is not. Stop it, people. Stop it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There is no one group of people who should be defining what mind care and mental health is. There should be no one person. No one group, no one person. No, that's just, I reject that. I reject it with every bone in my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vanessa, you have anything you want to say? And we close. Any comments we need to read?
Well, we have several comments, so I can read some of them.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We have time. We have 5 minutes.
Yeah. GC scored Rumorize from the root to the fruit. So that was something that really stood out to Carolyn. And lack of sufficient mental health practitioners is one of the causes of suicide in society, for sure. We are more intuitive of productivity than people. I think that is an issue. So yeah, and Calisha, this is a true Calisha. A lot of people find it difficult to share their mental health issues, maybe as a result of the stigma in society.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say, I really liked what you shared there, Calisha, about if we want radical change, um, um, if we want radical results, we have to make radical change. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and my closing words were right in line with that. You know, Gandhi said it and several others since that time, but be the change that you desire to see for corporations, for employers and employees. And if you're not even working, you know, it's easy for people, it's easy for us to identify what's wrong, what's a problem, what's not going right. So let's focus on how you would like to see it, and you present yourself to be that change. Start working towards that. Be the change that you desire to see in the workplace.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things I want to leave our viewing and listening guest with is, as Kalisha said, as we say, mind care is self care. And mind care is a holistic, accessible, and proactive approach to caring for one's mind rather than simply addressing issues when they arise, which is often the focus of traditional mental health. We want you to start thinking about mind care not on as self care, and think about how you care for yourself. You, again, I'm going to go back to this. You take a shower, you brush your teeth, you comb your hair, you get sleep, you drink water. What is the similarity? What is the similar, I'm losing my words. What is comparable to that to the physical health care? What is comparable to that in mind care? Okay? Spending time just
Yeah, what that looks like. And like,
contemplating, uplifting, motivating, inspiring information, helping somebody else, listening to people's story, listen to your own story, right? And you can do that by speaking into your phone, writing, writing, journaling, coloring, drawing, doing mind brain teasers. I mean, there's so go for a walk, sleep, drink water, get off the social media, stop having your brain be rewired, and have it rewired in something that's positive. Read a book, watch some of our podcasts, even though I just told you to get off social media, but so all of these things are what we should do. And you can think of a whole bunch of other things that are indigenous to you, right? That make sense to you. Okay? So we will see you again next month in November. The
Third Sunday.
Sunday. Same time, same place. We're going to have another interesting and engaging conversation. And we want to always remind you that our role, our mission is to renew minds, transform lives, and create safer and more socially connected communities. Blessings to all. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I choose to only think of thoughts. I choose to only think on thoughts. I choose to only think right thoughts. RUMERTIME reflects. When my mind is upset, I can change my mindset. Do not be thrown offset. RUMERTIME.
The RUMERTIME process, and I came across this quote: behind every behavior is a belief.
Whatever setting you go to, whether you're at church, whether you're at school, whether you may be having
I was
an issue
able
at home.
to analyze a little bit more.
Bringing about real positive
In order for me
changes.
to be effective, I have to be reflective. And this training
I gather an appreciation for reflecting. And I
take it from just something that's inside to getting it in a tangible form, getting it out from.
Fulfilling and rewarding to see the kids who coming and they sincerely growth in them. They became more reflective in their thinking, to see children grow and not just see but to be a part of it.
What I have learned in camp about RUMERTIME is that it's a process for solving problems we face in our lives.
My stress, and then I begin to enjoy and spend time on the things that really make me happy.
I recommend this training to all age, from kindergarten.
Before you do that thing that you'll regret, or say that thing.
If you breathe and think, you should have this training. I would recommend this to everyone.